That is right, Cincinnati. Enjoy it. Bask in it. You have waited weeks, then months, then more months, and the time has arrived for that in-person win. The monkey is off our backs. The new stadium is officially broken in, and we can now finally implement our plan to be good. The past 3 years happened to just be a setup for the future hit HBO series, The Queen Sleeps. Nah. The Lion Sleeps? The Lion in the Queen's Wardrobe. I don't like any of these. The Revenge of the Seven Hills. I think that's the best it's going to get tonight. If all of those sound terrible, well then, you do better and tweet at me. Winner gets to host on a future show, in which I will still say mine is better, so joke's on you. If you can't tell, though, we are hyped tonight. And that is because when the going isn't going, you celebrate the small things. I heard you all in TQL Stadium. You celebrated too. And now you're listening to this show, and you're still smiling as you remember those two sweet, sweet goals. Does it get any better? Not if you're a Toronto fan. 2020 Boston knows how that felt. And instead of being sympathetic, I'm just thinking, I'm glad I'm not those guys anymore. There are a few other guys I'm glad I'm not. Let me tell you about him. My first co-host. He's been the rock of my hosting tenure, the man that's been here each week for you, Mr. George Tebbets, the voice of the people. How are you?
That was my first name. Yeah, it's great to be back for a third, fourth consecutive time. I've lost track. I've lost track of a lot of things following the team this year. But one thing I haven't lost track of is the fact that it is Oktoberfest season. How about it? We're finally able to celebrate something at the right time of the year. And so I'm all prepared right now. I've got my lederhosen on. I've got my pretzel ready. Got some
that's a real pretzel.
Got some stone ground mustard. I got myself a Stein. It's full of swear rocks though. So unfortunately, I couldn't get the stuff on Monday night to drink. But I hear that all of the breweries have their stuff out. So go ahead and drink some. Drink some this weekend. Oktoberfest Cincinnati is taking place.
That's right. So is that pretzel like legit, or is that like some old pretzel from 3 years ago? No, that's legit.
It's legit. Yeah.
Oh my word. All right. Well, I suppose that's actually relevant after all my pretzel ranting the past 2 weeks. This has really just been the Boston's Mad at TQL Pretzel Show, sponsored by Sworox. So I'm just glad that you have one. I hope it's better.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right. My next co-host, you thought he left us forever, and you would be mostly right. But he is back to fill in for some of our other lazy staff members, Mr. Nick Suberling. How weird is it to be on that side?
It's a little weird. Glad to be back as what we would call an analyst. I was one of the few gentlemen from CST that appears attended the match. So I had a first-hand account of what actually happened on Saturday night there at TQL Stadium. Sat right behind the awesome host of Cincinnati Soccer Talk, Boston Brazel. It's good to be back. I will try my best to offer up my best insight, and we should have some fun tonight.
It's weird sitting you down in the best soccer show position on this one. But it's great to see you here, Subs.
Yeah, this is I'm in the basement now, which is clearly not finished. As you can see, a lot of junk sitting there behind me. It's still work in progress here at the house. For anybody who has moved, you know the situation we're in. We've been here for about 6 weeks now, so it's been a work in progress. Still don't have blinds, so still working on that. But yeah, it's been crazy busy and a lot of traveling. So yeah.
Well, welcome back. I did have to talk Subs onto the show. He sat behind me, and talking a guy out of retirement is not the easiest thing in the world. It's like going to your 65-year-old father who's just wrapped it up and said, "Hey, they want you back for one more year, Dad."
Well, you got me for tonight.
That's right. We got him back for tonight, and we do appreciate you coming on. This show would be pretty boring with just me and Jeff.
Oh, I disagree.
But
the pretzel talk alone, Boston had me. I mean,
it would be a lot. A lot of pretzel time.
Do that for 40 more minutes.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Swerox. You heard us mention it. It's a delicious fruit flavor electrolyte beverages supercharged with ions for fast rehydration, 0 sugar, 0 calories, 8 ions. And again, they have left our script die there because they sent us their products and just said, hey, try it. And then say whatever you want. And we do appreciate that. We are flying through our stash here at the house. I thought it was just for me, but no, my wife has decided that she likes it, which is a real bummer when you're trying to hog something and keep it to yourself. So we do appreciate that. And we appreciate your support of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Let's talk about this game, guys. FC Cincinnati finally gets the elusive TQL home stadium win. You heard me mention it on the top of the show. And we got to do our Cincinnati Soccer Talk special, best and worst about this match. Jeff, give me your best.
Well, I mean, the best is you could say the win, but that'd be too easy. You could say Acosta for having a good game in the middle. You could say a bunch of other players. They seem to all have their best game of the season at the right time. I'm actually going to twist it and look at the substitution patterns. We used all 5 substitutions. And the best thing is we actually subbed out the right people. We subbed out Brenner so that he can have a short rest and be ready for Wednesday. We subbed out Madunian in, ditto. We subbed out Atanga, who got really pummeled a few times in that game. And we brought on Zico Bailey. First game in a while. He looked supercharged and excited to be out there. He almost scored a goal. This was a team that was ready with the substitution patterns to keep this game out of hand. And that's something we haven't seen in a long time when they've had a 2-0, a 1-0 lead. So I think that's my best for this week. The worst is that it still could have been a draw. You take a look at the stats and really it's still 50-50. That the possession battle was barely even. Toronto had a lot more shots than we did. A bounce of a ball, a breakaway, and it could have easily been one goal ahead for them. Not to mention their goalkeeper. I don't know what their goalkeeper was doing. He was watching the lilies grow from his spot between the pipes. Both of the goals I felt were his fault for not, being a little bit more aggressive. So I'd say the worst is it could have lost points again.
On the flip side, we are used to digging through worsts and then trying to find bests. So tonight you had to do the opposite. Your best probably just rolled off your tongue. And that's pretty cool. I know that's the first thing I wrote because I was just so pumped. Like, oh yeah, I get to do a best. Subs, you sat right behind me. I know your best was sitting next to me.
Of course.
But if I have to take that away from you, what else did you have?
Well, my best is actually the fact that I got to sit next to my daughter at this game. It was her first game at TQL Stadium.
Really?
And yep, her first game at the new stadium. And so it was nice to enjoy that with her. We had a daddy-daughter weekend. I was fortunate enough to be in town. My daughter, actually, her club team had a game in Westchester on Saturday afternoon. And so I looked at the schedule. I was like, whoa, the planets are aligning. I can get to a game and take her. So we got to enjoy the game together. I know it's not game related, but my best is also I got Skyline on Saturday as well. So a nice little added perk. But as far as like an in-game best, my best would be the fact that TT and the defense kept a clean sheet. We've been screaming for how many months for a change at the goalkeeper position, and TT came in and played lights out. I'd have to go back and watch the game again, but I don't really recall. I don't feel like he was, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you two can correct me on this, but I don't really think TT was all that busy. Yes, he had to make some crucial saves. I think there was a chance. I can't remember who it was. It might have been on Dwyer where he had to make a save. But other than that, it was. I thought Cameron and Viacia played really well back there in the back. So for me, it's the clean sheet. The fact that they were able to keep Toronto off the board. My worst, and I'm probably nitpicking here because, again, it was a win and it was a strong performance from FC Cincinnati. But Boston, you and I were sitting there, and there was a chance. There were probably 2 or 3 chances there in that second half where it should have been 4 or 5-0. Had Lucho Acosta just passed the ball, it was like he just dribbled into 2 or 3 defenders and was so indecisive when he had plenty of other options. So that would probably be my worst. I think they did not capitalize. It could have been a lot worse score-wise for Toronto had Lucho just been a little bit more decisive on that final ball.
Yeah, I saw some Lucho love. I mean, Lucho's a player of the week in Major League Soccer's eyes. So he had an assist. FC Cincinnati's trying to give him a second assist, but he really was the assist to the goal on the second one. Played well in that retrospect, but yeah, this is the double-sided sword of Lucho Acosta that DC United fans warned us of, but we were so hyped we didn't care or listen, right? I mean, I think most FC Cincinnati fans said, whatever,
we need
still
him.
going to be better than what we had,
right?
Which is true. He's doing okay, but he's frustrating because you know that sometimes he just needs to pass that ball. And then sometimes he needs to take the shot, but he wants to take the perfect shot. That's my theory. He wants to take the absolute perfect shot and know it's going to go in and have no one in front of him. So he tries to create those spaces. But yeah, you got me talking on a tangent now. I'll go into my best and worst. My best is that crowd. That felt like FC Cincinnati football. The hope, the electricity. For a moment, people allowed themselves to believe again, especially the last 5 minutes when you were like, wait a minute, 2 goals. This can't possibly be taken away from us, right? To say we were going to win this match and have no ref, no foreign power, nothing could stop us. And that felt pretty darn good for once. And I think it felt extra special after being kicked while you're down. And so that one's for everyone that got to enjoy it. If you're in the stadium, it's probably one of my top experiences in a while. If you're at home watching it on TV, I hope you lifted a glass and maybe even let out a small cheer on your TV couch because it was deserved. And you've suffered a lot to get to that point.
There was a moment there after the match, Boston, where you had left. But me and Allie, we stayed and we watched the team basically do a victory lap. And it was refreshing because I had to sit there and think about when was the last time I saw that. Like I don't remember them doing a victory lap for the Portland home opener in 2018. They may have. I don't remember it. But I'm thinking back to the USL days, like back to the beginning. And that felt good. That was refreshing to see again. To see Jack Stern going ape on the team there. I mean, you talk about a ball of energy. You talk about that had to have been pent up. It's just waiting for it to happen. So that was really cool to see. It was a great moment to witness, seeing the team salute the Bailey finally. Man, that was just really a great moment. I'm glad I stuck around for that.
I think the only victory lap I can remember is maybe the first win that Yohan Dame got as interim coach in his first instance of the job. That might have been a mini one, but I'm pretty sure I remember that one.
Do we have any U.S. Open Cup? It feels like that would be a good lap. I know we had.
For sure, there was one for the Fire game. For sure.
Yeah. For those matches, I made sure I sat in the Bailey, so I didn't care what happened to the rest of the stadium. But now that I'm in the rest of the stadium, I'm like, come over here, guys. Give me some love.
I think there was more of that, like when we beat Columbus during the U.S. Open Cup. I think there was a lot more. There was the final whistle, and everybody was able to celebrate with that type of lap. But with the Chicago one, it was pins and needles, and then the team sort of gelled together because it was such a big win.
Yeah. I took some first timers. You talked about bringing your daughter. I took some fans that had not been to TQL Stadium yet. I think maybe way back went to an old game at Nippert, but really this was the first experience, and I couldn't have planned that any better because the last couple of months may not have left the best impression on them, but they're baseball, football people, and so I was just glad to see a good soccer experience landed there. Also, I'm piling on the bests here, but we got to win before the U.S. women and the U.S. men.
Yeah, we can put
Yeah.
that story to bed.
There was people betting hard against that. And we were
Hopefully not
running.
any
It
of
was
our
close.
guys.
It was close though.
I mean, you'd be depending on the win next weekend against New York City FC.
Was that the last chance in New York City?
That would be their last chance. Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Well, our show is by and large supported by fans. We get sponsors like Zwerks, but the legwork is done by you all. And unfortunately, when we made our change, we lost a little bit of our support. And we are trying to build back up to where we were to keep CST running and free for everyone, which it is. It always has been. It's been a fan by fans for fans. And we continue to look forward to creating content for all of you. So we do want to give a special shout out to those that have already signed up, and an extra special shout out for our 4 new supporters this week. Tom Bezerdorf, Jason, who is super average, John Haskell, and Ryan Ernst. Thank you so much for either joining or renewing, coming back to the fold. We definitely appreciate it. And our sponsors that have been here these last few weeks since we made the change. Really, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Matthew Long, Robert Stevens, Laurel Fowler, Matthew Adamchek, Buddy Taylor, Riley Stephen Burke, James Denbrough, Tom Newhouse, Brian Weigel, Brian Gillis, Dan Alberts, Will Kyotek. This is where it gets rocky for me. Iron Rexroad, Augustus Casillas, Bill Adenois, Carl Fight, Jeremy Schrand, Kyle Pohl, Christina Schrauma, and Rupesh. We do appreciate your support. And if I struggle with your name and you want me to fix it, if you like watching me struggle, then I would honestly pay for someone to say my last name, because I would laugh every time they tried. If they didn't know it.
Razzle.
Yeah, but you messed up my name for a solid year. Remember that?
It's because you didn't tell me. I didn't know.
Boston, you called me George to open the show.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought he was doing that on purpose. Like, is this some sort of inside joke that you two have developed since you've been here the last few weeks, Jeff? When he said George and then you were muted, so we didn't hear you right away. I'm like, wait, what is happening here?
It was totally on purpose.
It's not the worst name that I've been called. So
Joff. I bet you get Joff a lot.
I get a lot of Goffrey, like Godfrey, Gregory.
To be fair, when I met you years and years ago, and for those listening that don't know Jeff, his name is spelled Geoff, right?
Right.
And I was not aware that was a way you could spell Jeff.
Yeah,
So I did
You'd
think.
never seen it before, really?
I had never seen that in my life. I come
Wow.
from the cornfields of Illinois. We don't have any Jeffs with a G. That's weird. So I moved to Ohio, and apparently that's a thing. And I didn't know. So my wife laughed her butt off, though, the first time I talked about you without and she was like, "What'd you just say? That's not his name."
So I think maybe it's a New England thing, because the first time I saw it was from Jeff Hobson, who's the Bengals.com writer, and he's from the Northeast Boston area. So there you go. I think that might be the tie-in there.
Jeff Cameron, Attleboro, Massachusetts.
Oh my God, that's whoa. Okay, yeah.
I mean, realistically, I think that I was named after Geoffrey Chaucer, the old author, but I'm pretty sure I was named after Geoffrey the Giraffe from the Toys R Us commercials. So.
Hey, I was named after Larry Bird, so I'll give you that.
Is the R in Jeffrey backwards? That's the only question
I don't know, but I always wanted to be a Toys R Us kid. So,
all right, names aside, we got to talk about this match. FC Cincinnati wins 2-0 versus Toronto FC. First thing you noticed out of the gate, at least for me, was this goalkeeper change. I think that has to be because Jaap Stam keeps his starting 11 so predictable, and when he does make changes, you're trying to figure out why or what's going on. The biggest change in my mind is Vermeer out, and Titan is the starter. Did that make a difference here? Jeff, what do you think?
I think whenever you make a change, whether it's goalkeeper or I think one of the noticeable spots on a field, you always have this little inkling that something is going to go wrong. that you're used to the status quo, and so therefore, you're expecting the worst. But I think it worked the opposite for us. I think the status quo has been so subpar for so long that having fresh blood in there sort of gave you some hope that TD was going to come in and sort of dictate things like he did in the first game of the season, where he was hammered with so many goals against Nashville, so many shots on goal. And to have him come in and sort of like patrol things, keep things that were shot on net. And he did make 5 saves. Granted, a lot of the shots were from long distance, but it didn't pop up in his face. He managed to squash things, push to the side if necessary. So to see him be relaxed out there, I think relaxed a lot of the people in the crowd too.
Yeah, the backup Ben Lunt. Did you want to see maybe that happen? I mean, this is me speaking wishfully, Subs.
Yeah.
I've been clamoring for this change because I
have too.
I just didn't see the point. But I mean, I'm kind of eating my words here. Is TT the best choice?
I'm torn because I don't tweet a lot about FC Cincinnati, or at least I haven't. But shortly after I said sayonara to CST, I put out a tweet because I think they had just announced that Ben Lunt was coming back from loan, and they sent Cody Cropper back out. Which, to me, if you're bringing somebody back to the club, you're basically taking away his game minutes. You're bringing him back to see what he has to show, like why he should be playing. He should be the one in the sticks for FC Cincinnati, because realistically, the squad might feel like they've got a chance to make the postseason, but it's a stretch, right? So I think you should probably be using this time here down the stretch to see what you've got. Now, with that said, I thought TT coming in, obviously he was coming in because of Vermeer being in COVID protocols, couldn't play. So it was kind of forced on Jaap Stam. I'm kind of curious, had that not been the case, whether Vermeer, I think you gentlemen would agree, Vermeer probably plays in this game. And I don't know if it's a 2-0 result. So I was glad to see Teton step in. I was glad to see him play well. I'd like to see keep playing him, but this is where I'm torn, Boston, because I think you got to find out what you've got in Ben Lunt. Is he a Major League Soccer goalkeeper or not? And you're not going to find out that information with him playing in USL, and you're not going to find out that information at training. So for me, I say you play Lunt, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think part of it is us all trying to figure out what exactly we have. I'm not saying he's the greatest keeper in the world. Joseph, who's watching on Facebook, said TT was the right goalie against Toronto. The best shots he stopped. Vermeer would have almost certainly let it through. Same vice versa for Vermeer. Having the right goalie to defend against the right opponent's attack is key when both goalies are equal. By the way, did anyone Google worst MLS goalie? There's a long video showing Vermeer's misses at LAFC. Ouch.
I don't want to Google that.
Threw some burns in there at the end. But that's a valid point. It could just be that TT was the man of the hour. And let's give credit to where the defense deserves a lot of credit.
Sure.
TT didn't have to be the full savior. He had one amazing double stop. That kind of dropped my jaw a little bit. I felt really good about the game after that happened, because you knew Toronto, as bad as they are, they're going to get some shots on goal. And seeing this defend and save those, probably their best chance of the match, was solid. They still have some threats. They're out there with walkers, Michael Bradley and such and team, but they are still threats. So I'm taking digs at the worst team in the league. I'm a terrible person.
Well, but, if you're Michael Bradley after this match, how do you not retire? Kubo just outworked him and outclassed him on Saturday night. So, I'm walkers.
We got another one on Twitter. Fly89 said, unfortunately, Ben has not been lights out in USL this season. He is here because Crop isn't it. That's an interesting take, and I know what you're talking about. He had some ins. He was part of a 2-goalie system in Phoenix where they would rotate him, and he had some really good matches, but he had a couple questions. Honestly, at the end of the day, I don't know if keepers are entirely FC Cincinnati's problem, but it is nice to have a keeper step up and put in a really solid performance like they did.
I do want to defend Vermeer a little bit here. I mean, I know that you're only as good as your last game when you're a goalkeeper, but if you look at how he played against Toronto up in down in Florida, though, when they won 2-1 away, he was in the goal for that one, and he had a decent game as well. So sometimes it's the team that you play and not necessarily your own talent. And I think we saw that this week as well with TD in goal. That he could have, if this was New York City, if this was New England, he could have easily let in 3 or 4 goals as well.
That's fair. Well, you're playing a team worse than us, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's about the keeper. Sometimes it's about the defense. I think it's a little bit of everything here. And this one was kind of about the fans at the end of the day. So, of course, that's what a lot of the questions were about after the game. I want to play a little bit of Jaap Stam. Just kind of, they asked him what he thought about getting that first win at home.
Yeah, no, that's nice. You know, the fans, they turn up every game, and they're always positive. So that's a good thing. We're very happy about that. You know, they support the team, which is good as well. That's how it needs to be, especially when you're taking the lead. You go towards the end of the game. You can feel the tension growing as well. They're becoming even louder and louder towards the end as well, because they feel as well that the win is going to be there. So, and that gives us a great feeling. It's great to see the fans being involved like this, you know, and that's what we all want.
Definitely could tell he enjoyed that. Subs and I were looking for.
I could not find him.
I did find a clip FC Cincinnati put out on social media today. So they kind of did a mishmash of like how all the players and the coach and everybody reacted after the game. I kid you not. This is so Jaap Stam. This is what you would expect. He clapped 4 times, hit a couple people on the back, and then just kind of walked off. So that's why we didn't see him. Okay. He was happy in his own Jaap Stam way, I think. But he's still an angry looking man. So I think he has a persona he has to keep up with.
I think, I mean, it's if a win doesn't shake him, then I actually want to see that in a coach. I don't want to see a coach that gets too excited at some of these small wins. And this was a small win. It's one rung in getting back up to a decent location on the table. I like seeing coaches that don't get overly excited at this. I mean, case in point, Caleb Porter shushing the crowd to the 2-2 draw at TQL Stadium. You can't get yourself too excited sometimes as a coach. And I think that's what I like about Jaap Stam being coach.
Yeah, there's also he's probably sitting there thinking to himself, this team is lower than us in this table. We better get a freaking result. Like this result should be what is happening on a regular basis for FC Cincinnati. But again, the table doesn't lie. And so that might have been a factor as well. I like the tweet, the comment in here from Fly89 about being angry about the boos during the line. I will say, I very clearly heard them during the pregame lineup announcement. That was kind of an eye opener, like how clearly and how loud that really was.
Yeah, probably deservingly so. The fans have every right to vent frustration, and I don't think Jaap Stam is immune from that frustration with as long as he's controlled this team. That kind of brings me into a segment. We played this a few weeks ago. And I don't want to get into it too much because like we literally spent 20 minutes talking about this last week, and no one listening wants to hear us talk about it for another 20 minutes. But just out of curiosity, Jeff, Subs, did this move the needle for you? Are you still Jaap out?
don't think it moved the needle at all for me. And
No.
I don't think anything this season is going to move my position, because you saw, I explained it last week. I don't have a position on this. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Okay.
If he's gone tomorrow, that's fine. If he's gone at the end of the season, that's fine. But obviously something needs to change for next year. I don't see him, I don't see the utility of him being here when the 2022 season starts.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm with Jeff. It didn't move the needle for me. I personally, I think this is going to be one of those situations where both parties are going to play this out and go their own ways. I don't think you're going to see him resign. I don't think you're going to see FCC fire him. I think they're just going to play it out, hire the new GM, and then let the new GM make the decision. But I don't personally think that I would be shocked if he's back next year.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to know real quick. I'm not going to dwell on it. I don't think it matters, and we could beat that horse to death. And at the end of the day, I'm with Jeff. It doesn't really matter.
I did see something really good on Facebook. A really great comment here. Stommed if you do, stommed if you don't.
Ooh.
Well done.
Who said that? Do they want to come? You want to come write headlines for us? I struggle sometimes with those.
I'm so used to having controls. I don't have the controls anymore. So I want to click on this comment, and I can't. It's all right.
I don't even know how to give those back to you. Sorry, buddy.
It's okay.
I
don't want them.
we got some movement on the Kubo topic. I saw it a lot today. Stats. I kind of dug through the stats just to see if it was true. Is Kubo improving at his position? Because this has been an issue, right? We felt like Kubo has been playing out of position. He was brought in, and then they moved him back, and more of the role Frankie Amaya was supposed to be playing. Everyone, including Yop Stom, thought Frankie might be in that role. He's not. Kubo adapted, and it was a struggle. But I went back today, and I tell you what, the stats say Yu-Yo Kubo is making some improvements and some significant ones. He's still below the MLS average in many categories, but the last couple games have him vastly improving his position in those categories. So I'm interested to see where he sits at the end of the season. So I guess my question to you guys is, if Yu-Yo Kubo keeps this up, I think most of us, after talking to you guys internally, have written him off. Like we wanted him gone at the end of the season. We just didn't see the value there. I know we're talking Yop Stommer in or out. This one might be more significant. Kubo, do you hold on to him if he keeps this up? What do you think, Jeff?
I don't know, because right now I think I'm trying to find a good stat to sort of like define what he is like. And I can only look at some random websites or go on to Who's Scored and see what his rating is. As far as the rating that they give a player for a game, I'm not sure what the logistics are for calculating it. All I know is that, I'm looking at his numbers, and they were really low to start the season. We're looking at like 6.5, somewhere in there. The games that they lose, they're atrocious. But over these past few games, DC United, the draw at home, the draw away at New York Red Bulls, and then these last 3 games, they've all been in the 7s and 7.5s. So he's showing an ability to be steadfast. And I appreciate that about it. He is growing into his role. I'm just not sure if you want to keep him next year to sort of keep that role at what we're paying him.
Yeah, that's a good question, Boston. Is his deal up? See, that's the thing. I don't know Major League Soccer contracts. I wish I did. You're muted. I can't hear a word Boston's saying.
I'm so sorry,
Boston.
guys. You think I'd be an expert at this by now, but I'm not. We've had some debate about this internally. Ken thinks it's, even if he's not, it's possible to let him go.
Man.
Financially.
I mean,
there are certain contracts you can't cut.
I don't bring him back as a DP.
Right. I agree.
If you can get him on a TAM deal, then great. But yeah, he's to me not a designated player, not at that spot. But with that said, watching him on Saturday night put Michael Bradley away, I mean, it was fantastic. So and I agree. He from the first week we saw him against Nashville back in what month was that? March. I would make the case that he's probably the most improved player this year. Like from game 1 to today. Like who else would you pick?
I like that. Most improved player. I think he's certainly on the path for it. Now, hopefully.
Well, who's got better?
I don't know. Like, I guess you could argue Brenner because he started out slow and he's up to 6 goals.
Yeah.
Acosta has been about the same all season long. Barriel just had a position switch, so I guess he could be in the running if he all of a sudden just kind of really adapts to that role. I'm not sure. I think you have a very valid point.
So if you can get him on an affordable deal, then you bring him back. But is he going to want to come? Does he want to transition to that position, fully knowing that he's an attacking player by nature? Like that's what he was for most of his professional career. So now he's playing more central in the defensive position. I mean, granted, I think he's gotten a lot better. Is he in the top half of Major League Soccer at that position? Probably not. So I'd have a hard time if his contract expires, then I wouldn't be upset if they also said goodbye.
Yeah, I brought up Barrial a little bit earlier. I want to play his post game because he seems to still have his heart in it. He talked about playing in his new position and he felt like he was adapting. I kind of chopped that part out for time. So I did like to hear that he's doing okay there. And Jaap Stam obviously has confidence in him to make the change and stick with it, especially after we blew that last game. And I know it wasn't his fault or anything, but we just didn't have much attack last game. So it was cool to see him talk about that. However, this first part's in Spanish. Bear with us. I wanted to keep it in here for any Spanish speakers of our show that might want to have that. So the first part will be actually Barrial, and then his translator will come next.
Este es el camino. Tenemos que mantenernos juntos, como digo siempre, trabajar juntos, cada uno desde su lugar, trabajar para el equipo, que es creo que en los últimos 3 partidos me ha tocado a mí jugar en una posición donde nunca me ha tocado jugar, pero bueno, creo que lo he hecho por el bien del equipo, para poder conseguir esta victoria que hoy la pudimos conseguir, y ojalá tenemos el sueño todos de seguir ganando y poder llevar a Cincinnati a los playoffs. Ese es el sueño que tenemos y creo que vamos por buen camino.
This is the path. As I said before, it's about playing together. It's about, doing everything we can for the team. The past 3 games, I've been playing in a position that I've never had to play before, but I was doing it for the betterment of the team. And so it's things like that. It's working hard for each other. And we believe that we can get this team to the playoffs, and that's our goal. And so that's what we'll try to do.
I thought that was bold. As soon as I saw your eyes go up. And, Nick Hagelin said something similar last week, and Brian joked around about it. But I think if you're a player, I think it's kind of important to have that mentality, even if you probably know it's not possible, right? Like if you're playing the game and you're highly competitive, at the same time, you can't tell the fans it's over, right? So that's what I'm thinking overall.
Yeah, you can't come out right. Exactly. You've got to still have hope. You still have to believe. Look, right now, FC Cincinnati's got 20 points. They are 11 points back of Montreal in 7th position. So I don't see them making up that ground. They've got they've played 22 games. They play 34.
They play 12 more. Yeah.
So, I mean, they basically have to win almost every game the rest of the way out.
They would also have to depend on a lot of teams that are getting hot right now to get very cold. You're looking at Atlanta has been hot. We're going to face them on Wednesday. We just faced Miami, who are as hot in their own right. You're not going to catch teams like New England or New York City, but you are going to see teams like Montreal sort of collapse a little bit. There's a possibility you see Philadelphia get caught up in their own success of the CONCACAF Champions League and start to debilitate a little bit down the stretch. Maybe we shock them at home and pull them down to our level. Maybe Columbus starts to fall even further down the ladder. The problem is you're depending on other teams to do a lot worse than how you're expecting to do.
Who's had a worse season, FC Cincinnati or Columbus?
Oh, bar none, Push.
What kind of answer is that?
I say Push because Columbus has had a dreadful season in terms of their health. I think we've been more healthy than Columbus has been, and Columbus they can't get a healthy starting 11 out there. If you do want me to give an actual answer, I will say that Columbus is having a worse season. They probably won't make the playoffs, and that's a shocker if you were to ask all the experts at the start of the season.
So, build up. Nothing. No, but I agree with you. We are what we are. No one thought we were rolling into the playoffs, like rocking it out this year. I mean, unless Brenner and Acosta just happened to be the best pair since Wayne Rooney and Acosta hit Major League Soccer. Like, I think we are what we are. Everybody expected it. Cincinnati fans came into the season realistic. We just want an improvement. And if FC Cincinnati can pick up this last part of the season, climb up those standings, even if they miss out on the playoffs, which they most likely will, it's still an improvement. We're not the wooden spoon. Like, I'll throw a party episode because we're not the wooden spoon.
Got to knock on wood there.
Oh, what Jeff Tebbets is giving me like a stop jinxing us.
Yeah, I know. I told you about the guy that served shots after that second goal in Columbus. Don't jinx us here, Boston.
All right, I'll quickly move into this week because we've been talking about the past a lot, but we have a big week coming up. You talked about it. Atlanta on Wednesday and then New York City FC on Saturday. Real quick, let's get into the roster ins and outs. Chris Duvall is back and cleared for this upcoming week. Caleb Stanko as well. If you didn't know he was out, he was, and now he's back. Vermeer, however, not at training today. I would not expect to see him on Wednesday. So that likely is a TT start on Wednesday if Jaap Stam tries to keep all things considered. No news, though, on Blackett and Scott. I think they kind of were cleared last week. So with the rotation, if there's rotation, do you expect to see Blackett, Scott, Stanko, Duvall, any of these new players on either Wednesday or Saturday? And Subes, what do you think? Which is the best chance?
I don't think you'll see any of those four players Wednesday. I don't believe you'll see three of the players on Saturday. I think probably what will end up happening here is, I hate saying it, but I would not be shocked if Vermeer plays Saturday night.
Really?
Which
you
would
think?
be, and if TT has a good game on Wednesday against Atlanta, that game's in Atlanta, right?
Yes.
If TT has a good game down in Atlanta, the superstitious side of me would be you play the hot hand. You keep playing the goalkeeper who's getting you results. So, but Jaap Stam, to me, is dead set in his ways. And no matter how bad Vermeer was during those weeks, he kept playing him. So for me, I don't think we'll see Scott. I don't think we'll see Blackett. I still think Blackett's still coming off of his injury, so I don't know how healthy he is. And then Stanko is Stanko. I mean, I don't think we'll see him play. He hasn't played very much this year anyway, so
he gets the sub in. But I mean, these guys just played, most of them, a full 90. You got your usual Brenner for Vasquez. You got your Jeff brought it up at the top of the show. He did have 5 subs.
Yeah,
so that's the first.
Remember, I even asked you during the game, Boston's like, how many subs is that? And you looked at me and said 5, and what?
I mean,
on the flip side, though, they didn't start till the 75th minute. So those subs are still like late Stam subs, and they just happened to get to 5 right at the end. when the game was already won. But can they play? Like, I just can't see Brenner, Acosta, these guys rolling out there after playing all Saturday, go out there Wednesday, do it again, and then go out there Saturday and do it again. It's just too much.
Now that you say that, Boston, I think you're probably right. I think we'll probably see Kyle Scott on Wednesday for Medunjanin.
Wednesday's the away game. That's the one you would care least about technically.
I just think with Harris's age and how much he didn't play the full 90 Saturday night. He got subbed off.
Yeah, he got subbed off.
Still had to run a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kyle Scott for Harris Medunjanin.
I think you might see. I would like to see Harris start. And hear me out here. We were talking about who's improved over this season. Kubo is a pretty obvious answer, but I also think Medunjanin has improved over this year as well. He's looked better out there. He looked really solid this past weekend. Granted, once again, you're playing a bad team, but I think you maybe see him out there for 60 minutes and then you bring in Scott. I would bring in Scott for him. Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff I love because there's a lot of strategy involved here.
Sure.
Stom's got to figure out the players to put in the right days. I won't be surprised though if Soups is right and we play the same lineup 3 games in a row.
Hey, we won
in a week.
It's like we just got 3 points. Let's not change it up. Let's see. Let's play. Let's do what's working. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it is the same 11.
But if it's not, then I don't think any other coach we've ever had would do that. We've always talked on this show in the past, how to pull the chess pieces. So Atlanta's in 8th, New York City's in 4th, and they look pretty good. The only time I've seen them look weak in the last few weeks was against Nashville, because Nashville's steamrolling over everybody all of a sudden. So
and New York pummeled us.
And New York did pummel us
without Acosta.
Right, that's fair. So strategy,
but I didn't know Acosta wasn't playing in goal that day.
True, Cropper was playing goal that day.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
No. I hear what you're saying, but he was not playing.
Okay, the invisible man was playing in goal that game.
See, these are the things I can say now that I'm acting as analyst, and I'm only here for one night.
That's right. It's true. It doesn't stop me though. That's for sure. So here's where I get caught up. The old adage is you go for the home win first. You would prioritize the home win because that's what your fans see. That's what they paid money for. And that's who you want to make the happiest. However, Atlanta's in 8th. They're technically, even though they're playing hot right now, they're technically the weaker side and probably FC Cincinnati's best chance at beating a team. So
it's tough. I would argue that right now, Atlanta's the hotter team. They've got, I took a look at their 3-0 win over Orlando this past week, and they looked dominant on the field. For everything that was being spoken about Orlando being at least a number 3 or 4 team in the East, Atlanta took them apart. They employed a false 9 with sort of 2 of their DPs up top instead of rushing Joseph back from international duty, and they played a great game. They had their defensive guys came up. George Campbell did a really good job in terms of filling in for Miles Robinson, who was also off on international duty. This is a team that can scare a lot of people, especially now that you're able to put Joseph Martinez in for most of the game.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. You're probably right. You're probably the most expert of all of us when it comes to other teams around the league. So I'm going to trust you on that. If that's the case, then that makes FC Cincinnati's decision easy, I think. If you're Stom and you had to prioritize, if you had to rest players, rest them on Wednesday. Then you're in an opponent stadium. They're the hotter team. And then give it your best shot on Saturday at home for your fans and versus New York City. So if you disagree?
I don't think he's really in a position to prioritize anything. I just think that at this point you're trying to develop and get results. And So I don't think there will be any. I'll go back to if there's any changes. I think we're going to see it in the midfield, in Harris probably coming out for Scott. That'd be my guess. But yeah, I don't think he'll prioritize one match or the other. I think they're at this point just trying to ride it out and get the season finished.
That's fair. And I might be talking like, I used to talk back in the old days where we played these games, these prioritized games, because they kind of mattered. I hope it does matter. I hope FC Cincinnati takes some, I don't know, what's the word for it? Like, it's not initiative, but basically they get hyped up and they build off the success. It's asking a lot.
Some personal pride.
Yeah. Maybe I have some false hope because we won, but I think it's just nice to have a little false hope.
So honestly. You have hope?
Yeah. No, Ope is our we did play this last time. We had 2 games in a week, and I think for the most part one of us missed at least one. But let's do it again. Hope or Ope for these 2 games. Mr. Tebbets. Atlanta, New York City.
We've surprised Atlanta every time we've gone there, whether it's that late Lamar goal to get a 1-1 draw in our first season, or that surprise goal from Kubo on the side last year that sort of made a little bit more of a game out of it. I'm gonna have to go though. Ope squared. I think Atlanta is just too strong of a team right now. They're riding off of the new manager bump. And like I said, they're going to get Joseph back in the starting lineup so they can rest one of their guys that, gave them 90 minutes last week. As far as New York City is concerned, I want to say hope because between them and the Red Bulls, I'm starting to hate New York City more than the Red Bulls. I think that guy Chanot last year got under our skin on defense. And so to wipe the smirk off any team from New York would make me happy. But they're also stronger and I think more. They have a more solid defensive core. So I'm going to have to say Ope twice.
I'm going for an Ope and a hope.
Ope to Atlanta.
Ope to Atlanta. I think that New York's going to come into this game on Saturday or the weekend and come in thinking they're probably going to have this game won based on the early season matchup. I don't know who it was in the chat mentioned that we didn't have Acosta, and we also didn't have Cameron in that game as well.
Yeah.
And a better goalkeeper, hopefully this weekend. Watch TT get sent off Wednesday if he plays. So I'll say hope because I think Matarrita also. I remember after that New York City game, everybody
we were thin. We were really thin.
We were thin, but what I remember about that match was the players responding socially about how this wasn't good enough and how they felt bad. And I think they have a nasty taste in their mouth from that first matchup against City. So I think there's some hope for that match. I don't know if they'll win, but I think it'll be much better than the previous matchup. What was the final score in that game? Was it 5?
5. 2 own, well, 1 own goal, but practically 2.
Yeah. So I'll go for hope on Saturday night.
Actually, can I change my answer here?
Sure. Let's just send it over.
I think I am going to change the New York City one to hope. I reconsidered because I forgot who else we didn't have in that game. We didn't have Viacia and we didn't have Jeff Cameron. So we didn't have 2/4 of our defensive core that we now have. And I also, and this just occurred to me as well, I think one of the New York City FC color guys called us out on Twitter as well.
Oh,
saying,
Glenn Crooks. Yeah.
Yeah. He said like he just realized that they won for the first time in their stadium against the cellar dwellers. Not certain if that's anything to celebrate.
Ooh, that's right.
So I mean, he throws water at us, but New York City has not beaten Toronto this year.
They also don't have a win in a soccer-specific stadium that's their own either.
Yeah, and their stadium doesn't really count.
You read my mind there. There you go.
David Moore, of course, saying, and it's not on that crappy Yankee Stadium fields, which takes away some of their edge. I'm with you. I'm with you, David. I hated playing in Louisville for that reason. I felt like they were pros at playing, and all of a sudden they're not the hottest thing in USL ever since they stopped playing in that baseball stadium. So it definitely was an edge in my opinion. I think you do get small one. Now I'm just bitter, but Kevin Roll saying Atlanta Ope, New York City Hope, only because he'll be in attendance.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep, Kevin following the Subs pattern there. I think I will as well. As much as I'd love to beat Atlanta in Atlanta with 70,000 something people, I'm not sure if they're at 70 or 40,000, but I've been there for both games. They're both loud. They're both crazy. And Joseph Martinez is just that good, and he can make the difference in a game. I wish we had our own version of Joseph Martinez. I don't think we're there yet, but I feel good.
Hey, we've got a DP scoring goals.
That's right. 6 goals on the season.
Been able to say that ever.
Boy, imagine if we had Pity Martinez instead of Acosta. Oh, that game in Atlanta would have been very interesting.
Double digits on the season, guys, for Brenner. That's only 4 more, and you got a lot of season left.
I'll say he just finishes just short. He'll finish with 9.
Ooh,
I said 13 at the beginning of the season, so I'll say double digits. I'll say he gets in there.
What about your 13? Now you have raised the bar.
Well, he's got 6 right now.
Yeah.
I think he's going to fall short of that.
Ideally, if he just got a couple braces, though, he'd be on pace for your 13.
I just don't understand how he was unmarked in the box on that goal. Like, what were they? What? Hey, how did the keeper not go to get the ball? And how was he? That's why they're in the bottom of the league, I guess.
Yeah.
He kind of froze. If you go back and watch it, I think that keeper was so worried about that other side for some reason. He just kind of froze. And then Brenner should have had a brace in that match, by the way. He did miss another one that was really, really close.
I looked back at that one. He would have been offsides.
Really?
Yeah, he was offsides when that got centered to him and he missed the wide open shot. But yeah, he could have gotten a brace.
Welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, where Boston says something and Jeff immediately corrects him.
I like that segment. I like that a lot.
Pretty good. Really good.
Oh man. Real quick, let's touch on a really couple other topics before we run out of time. U.S. women's national team match is coming up. I think there are still tickets, but if there are, they've got to be running low. Either of you able to make that match? I'm unfortunately traveling, so I'm kicking myself. I missed the last one because I was traveling.
Yeah,
you could solve that.
No, I can't. If the answer is stop traveling, I can't do it.
No, I think the answer is to go to Cleveland for the other game.
Oh, I have considered that.
Don't
And it is by far the cheaper one. Have you guys seen the ticket prices they just came out tonight. The ticket prices, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen them yet, maybe don't go check for your own sanity. But we're looking at a starting price of $125 for the U.S.-Mexico game at TQL Stadium. And that climbs up to a $1,000 ticket for what they're calling level 1. Actually, go look at it because it is a massive map with like a lot of different variables. If I was to sit in my FC Cincinnati season tickets for the game, I would be paying $295 a ticket, or about almost $600 for the two of us.
I get it. I get it because this is the premier match in World Cup qualifying. Like, this is the match. So I get it. The prices I think we all knew that they were going to be high. The prices don't shock me one bit. So I'm not surprised. I personally won't be there, but I'm not surprised at the ticket prices for USA Mexico. I mean, it's when you're looking at this game from a US perspective, before the octagonal or whatever you want to call it even started, we knew that this was going to be the high, whether that game was in Cincinnati, Columbus, Seattle, anywhere, that was going to be the highest priced game. So I'm not surprised.
I think my best shot at tickets are in the Bailey because I'm a part of a supporter group and because I'm a part of American Outlaws. So that's probably, I think, where I'd end up. If I don't get those subs, you're right. You're 100% right. And I think that's because I'm probably just going to suck it up and pay whatever. Because I want to go that bad. I've been to a U.S.-Mexico game. It is amazing. I've already downloaded Rocket Mortgage and started the process of taking a second mortgage out on my house so I can go. but it's definitely in the works. Like I don't think I can pass it up. And then once these are sold, the secondary market, holy smokes,
that's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be real bad.
Yeah, this is encouraging me to find a nice location and watch the game outside of the city. But I mean, the last time that I remember, this big of a game was probably back when John Brooks hit that goal against Ghana. So really, I mean, you should be on pins. You should be on pins and needles for this one. If you get to go to the game, very good. If not, watch it at home in the bar. Really, support from your seats in Cincinnati, no matter where they are.
This is what you should do. You should buy a ticket to the USA-Mexico game, sell it on the secondary market, use the proceeds from that sale to renew your season tickets for next year.
Oh, man, I thought you were going to say support Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Oh, that too. Of course, that too. Yeah,
you might get a pretty penny. You might be able to split things up.
And go out and buy a lot of Sworax.
That's right. If you sold your tickets on the secondary market, you probably, first of all, screw you. But also, you would totally have enough money to buy your season tickets or part of them and donate to Cincinnati.
Or at least your parking pass for next year.
I don't know if we can feel good about taking your third-party money though. Real quick, let's hit some running out of time topics. I wrote an article this week, today actually. It's on the website. Go check it out if you are interested in my breakdown on the Acosta problem. I give him credit. I think he showed up for the Toronto match, but I have some issues with his dribbling, and honestly, I've heard people talk about it, so I really just wanted.
He muted himself on accident, I think.
I think he hit his microphone there. Anyways, though, I think that was one of us muting him on purpose when he was talking trash about Acosta. But if you want to see that article, it's up on CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Definitely give us your thoughts if you have any, or if you completely agree with Boston. Have I become the host of CST podcast now?
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Yeah, that's what happens. I get excited and animated, and then my hands go just wild, and then knock things out. But yeah, you hit it on the head. I kind of just wanted to see if the numbers back up what people feel, what I feel, and I think there's room for improvement, like vastly amounts of room for improvement. But moving on, Anthony Precourt Memorial Wooden Spoon has shifted. Last week we had no update for you. This week, I found this ironic. Of the bottom 4 teams in the Wooden Spoon race, 2 teams played each other. So all 4 teams were basically against each other. Toronto played Cincinnati. We know the result of that one. Houston played Austin, and that's where the biggest shift was. Austin has jumped below FC Cincinnati. We are 3rd from the bottom, boys.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh.
We have made an advancement. Austin, the newcomers, are totally FC Cincinnati-ing their season. So we know.
Wow, we only have one more point than they do.
Yeah, their coach, by the way, totally threw his players under the bus. He said they weren't sticking to what we talked about and we're not executing at a good level.
Oh, I've heard that before.
I thought that was brutal for a first year head coach.
I remember that in 2018.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't feel like he's maybe he feels short on time.
I mean, comparatively, they're pretty close to us. I think they've played one more game. They had a stretch where they just could not score, but they've also had a few 4-1 games that they've completely looked dominant in. So they are on our level, and who knows what it's going to look like by the end of the season.
The Pride had a burning ceremony, Ted Lasso style, for
Nice.
the curse to be lifted. The
It
curse
works.
was indeed lifted.
What'd they burn? Where'd they burn it?
I mean, in the show, they burn things that mean a lot to them. I'm assuming the Pride members, outside of probably a couple that did actually do that. I'm assuming that it was at Northern Row Brewery, which is where they kind of hang out before the matches. I thought a cool idea, by the way.
Oh,
if you're listening and
absolutely.
you're in the Pride, like, kudos. Like, that was amazing. And now you get forever street cred for ending like the curse. like you can claim the win is all because of you, and I can't argue with you. So props. Whoever thought that up was a genius idea. Curse lifted though.
The bad
we
thing
good?
about it, though, is that it would turn into the Shandy situation. So we don't want to have people like, oh, it worked the first time, let's burn something else, and then realize that half their house is gone. You know?
Hey, whatever
Safety
needs to
first.
happen. I'm not normally a superstitious guy, but I am the most superstitious with sports out of anything in my life by far. And that's just because I want to win. And so if this is what it took, then I'm all for it. Props to Pride, though. Great idea. Final thoughts. Let's get into them. Jeffrey Tebbets, you have been a faithful companion these last few weeks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's always good to be here. I'm glad that I'm able to pick up a few starting roles here and there. Maybe I am turning into a Barrial on the CST team. I just want to hope that everybody enjoys the games this week. You know, we're playing a little bit with house money, but we should always be realistic about what we're doing. But also, we are. You know, I am dressed for Oktoberfest, but keep in mind we are still, you know, sort of there's still a pandemic out there. So if you don't feel safe going into these situations, you know, keep that in mind. Just make sure that you know you stay healthy, you stay happy, and you just see all the warning signs out there. But enjoy Oktoberfest wherever you may celebrate it.
Good final thoughts. Subs, we appreciate you coming back. We know you didn't have to. You could have stayed retired and forgot all about us, but I think everybody's probably pretty happy to hear your voice. I wouldn't say this is your farewell episodes. The Weigel twins have this grand idea to throw you a huge farewell episode. So if you're into that, I would keep listening the next few weeks, and I think it's going to take some convincing. So maybe tweet at Nick Superling and let him know that you're all for that idea. But I'll take your final thoughts.
Well, thanks again for letting me come back and spew my my hot takes here on CST. It's a little different being on this side of the controls, and it's kind of fun to sit back and offer up my thoughts. Normally when I would host the show, I would just kind of dish the rock and let you guys, you know, take care of all that. So this has been kind of fun to have my say for once. No, I really enjoyed being there for the match Saturday. Really thrilled to see the fan base finally get that the results, the 3 points at home for the first time at the new stadium. Hopefully that is like maybe the pool cover's been lifted. And I know it's the end of summer, and so a lot of people are putting their pool covers on, but maybe now we're opening things up. Maybe the floodgates will open here, and maybe this is a string of good results at home for FC Cincinnati as the end of the year. So as I would always say, watch your tackles.
You just stole my closing line. I don't know if you've listened to the end of any of our episodes, but I try to stick with it.
Right.
But I can't claim it as my own, so I say, as Subs would say.
Well, fair enough. Thank you for having me back, though.
No, I appreciate you being on. I think it would have we would have had to call in some other emergency host if you hadn't made it. So I appreciate it very much tonight. My final thoughts. I am out of here on vacation the next couple weeks. So
Mr. PTO.
Yeah, you're gonna have some fun guest hosts, and probably are going to fire me while I'm away. So if that happens, then it's been great seeing you all. But I expect that the show will be in great hands, honestly. So have fun, guys, while I'm out. And enjoy what's coming.
Have fun at your. I'm going to guess you're going to go to a Tampa Bay Rowdies game.
No,
My
the
other
Charleston
team.
Battery.
Charleston. Oh, there you go.
Charles, I don't know if I ever want to go back to Charleston Battery games since they're demolished their historic stadium. That's such a bummer for soccer. But no, I'm headed to Iceland, and I'm going to run around the frozen tundra. That's not Lambeau Field. But looking forward to getting away for a little bit, and I'm sure the show will be rocking it while I'm gone. Thanks to everyone for your reviews. You can go to Apple iTunes and review CST. Please do. Give us 5 stars and say you're happy that Subs is back. You can support CST, of course, on Patreon, and we appreciate everything you do for us. And that's all we got. So as Subs would say, watch your tackles.